Hello, hello! So, for once, I'm gonna be doing what my YouTube description says, and I'm going to be annoying you guys with shit that I do not want to annoy my friends with. More accurately, this topic hit me as an idea of something I could talk about while I was in the process of making another video script, and it kind of feels like it'd make a good prelude to that very same video. So I grew up in a pretty humble way. My parents collected a lot of DVDs over a couple of years. We had an old computer with a CD drive, and I had a lot of free time, even back then. So, a lot of my time growing up was spent watching comedies of varying quality, where they repeated gags over various movies, and they still made me giggle because I was like, a baby. Then when I got a little bit older and my parents gave me access to the internet, I'd see reviews of these movies, and they'd always be like, oh well, this movie is mid, and you know what? I'd read the reviews, or I'd watch them, and I'd find it hard to disagree with some of the issues that they brought up in those reviews. But also, I could never deny what those movies made me and my family felt when we watched them. And around that time, I also had the realization that art is something that's hard to quantify objectively, no matter what anyone says. Something without an airtight story may still be beloved, while some stories may be undoubtedly interesting but executed in such a way that you find yourself losing interest. And that quality I developed of watching anything that seemed even vaguely interesting to me would follow me into my adult life. And once I was able to just start watching things that my parents didn't curate, my teenage self just jumped right into the deep end with anime. And sure, I watched a few good shows, but there were some real stinkers in there. Just goofy ass shows that I struggled to find a quality that would make them easy to recommend to anyone who was looking for a show that wasn't hot ass, but something that undoubtedly gave me a good time. But also I found myself thinking that while I watched a lot of things that I would struggle to call good wholeheartedly, I also found myself really disliking when certain famous anime fans would say things like 99% of anime is trash, because while I don't disagree that they might not have the perfect quality in literally everything, I also felt like they should be able to just write it off because of that. After all, aren't you trying to encourage other people to take an interest in the medium too? I firmly believe that even terrible shows can have redeeming qualities. It's a lot like how some beautiful people can have an absurdly high amount of mental illnesses going in within their head. Even if it's dangerous and you know that on an intellectual level, you'll find a reason to justify going after them. Maybe that's what I'm doing right now. I'm justifying why I like watching some really shitty things to everyone. Guys, I promise I can change, I just need to get burnt a little bit more. Also, as a creative type, I just think it's important to see all kinds of media and allow that to be my scale. If you've ever seen someone who only watches good things or plays good games, and they become so absurdly harsh that their standards are impossible to attain, they're kind of annoying to be around, aren't they? So by watching really bad things, I try to keep myself humble by being like, you know what? Could get worse. You ever been a fan of a game franchise that has so many good games that people just start to think that the middling games are the worst thing ever? It's like that. Also, like I said, I just think it's important to improve my own creativity. A lot of creation these days is about copying. Not directly, I mean synthesizing what you see. Bad pieces of media can have good ideas or good moments, and it's important to look at that and figure out why they work. Sure, it could be the scale, but it could be simply good stakes, or it could be timed at an emotional high point that makes it all good. It's hard to rate things so objectively all the time, so it's good to understand subjectivity and how something can be good in one show and bad in another. Basically, this entire thing is to tell you that I'm coping extremely hard, and I'm telling you that I think it's important to ground yourself. Realize that you're not immune to loving mid-shit, and sometimes you don't need to intellectually justify it, and remind yourself that you are also in the world, existing at a time where you're so privileged that so much art is put out into the world that you can actually develop a taste for what's good and what's bad. Speaking of intellectually justifying myself, look at me, already going back in my own words. So I mentioned that I'm writing a script for another video. I gotta cook it for a little bit longer, but I'm already thinking about the edits. The video is another topic that I can't annoy my friends with, which is anime. Rather, anime airing this season. I love mid shit, and most seasonal anime is kind of mid. That's why a lot of people get mad at it. So, look forward to that if you're listening to me right now. I'm sure there's a gap in the market for a 20-something-year-old weeb with too much time on his hands. Alright, so thanks for watching, appreciate you as always. Like, subscribe, don't like it, tell me I stink, whatever. It's been real. See ya.